drama, chaos, and bungling by the Electoral Management Board, the Zimbabwe Electoral Commission. This eventually sparked night voting as an angry, determined, and receptive electorate staged sit-ins at polling stations demanding that they be allowed to vote. Despite publishing a schedule in advance of the ballot papers the commission had printed, ZEC still failed to avail them, leading to unprecedented chaos in the Zimbabwean electoral history. Mostly opposition strongholds were hit by this bungling, while rural areas, the electoral process went on without any hitches. Voters who spoke to Newsday reporters in Harare and Bulawayo vowed to stay at polling stations until they voted.
I'm at Park Primary School. The thing is, I came here at around 7 a.m. in the morning. They told us that that's starting time for the voting, to prepare for voting, and we came back and the voting started at around 4 p.m. That's when the voting started, and they told us at around 8 o'clock, they said the paper is finished. But it's not making any sense because since voting is supposed to be around 12 hours for voting, we only had about 4 hours or 3.5 hours or so, and they're saying the paper is finished. So we as Zimbabweans were confused. What's happening? Because it's not making any sense. How can they say the paper is finished when we started voting around 4 p.m.?
Okay. Is it your first time to vote?
Yeah, this is my first time to vote.
You are shocked that
I'm very surprised.
So you're going to stay?
I'm staying. I'm not going anywhere.
Until you vote?
Until I vote. Yeah, I'm staying here to vote because this is my first time, and it only happens once in 5 years. So yeah, if I miss this opportunity for the next 5 years, I wouldn't have contributed anything to this country. So I feel like my vote is my right. So I'm staying here until I vote.
Kuti kubhinga bepa riri kunzi ririko rakazara kumamisha bepa rakazara but marare munomutisi vanhu vari kusenda zvinhu kumamisha tiri kurwadziwa zvisingaiti saka tiri kukumbira kuti bepa parichauya chero rikayana 1 ndakarimirira
tiri panapa Ekbak school tasvika panapa kuma 27 ende maelections anotanga na 7 kusvika na 7 manheru but now tabva makuseni na 7 kusvika izvezvi so vanhu vatanga kuvhota na 4 but vanhu vavhota 3 hours kusvika mapepa apera ende now takangomirira ende ticharamba takangomirira kusvika mangwana tichatovhota ipo panapa. Yes, right. Tinotoramba tiri panapa kusvika tavhota because right yangu ndiri kufanira kutovhota.
Vakutichi vana?
Vatitaura kuti hanzi mapepa apera.
Kwanza achawera?
Kwanza ari kundotorwa kuprinted but nguva yacho atonzi atoinda kundotorwa gadai atova pano futi zvevanhu vakutanga kutovhota but nothing, hapana chati chavapo.
First time yako kuvhota zvakamboitika?
Haisi first time.
But zvakamboitika?
Hazvina kumbobvira zvakaitika. Hazvina kutombobvira zvakaitika. Takangotoya panapa tikavhota hatina kutombotora kana 30 minutes ndandatodzokera kumba but now tichingoritori pana nhasi.
Usikhuluma ngayo kuntu umphandla so.
Hayi sisenkulumane usunganitsheli ukuthi
thina lapha sife ngo4 o'clock ekuseni kodwa khona sivota test ngo7 athe manje angikwazi ukuthi isikhathi sonke lesibe advertise ukuthi thina sibe lezithupha be campaign why babengalungisa ama problems awo bathi ngama quarter to 8 hayi selingazihambela further notice izinto zethu azikwananga angikwazi ukuthi basiphatha njani lokhu khetho lwebe lu-right kumbe lwebe lu-wrong ayi kube sokusazwa yibo ngoba sesivota ngobusuku okunye avele bengasakhanyi.
zvakasangana zvakuvhuta tamba pakuvura makuseni kuvanlaini takagara pano kusvika iye zvinezvi hapana mapepa aringonzi mapepa apera saka tanga takangomirira kusvika yezvino hatizoti tichaita nguvai ende tikada kudzikanzi 12 o'clock kana iwo anokuroka na 2 o'clock tichamirira kusvika totongorara pano tichivota
ndauya kuseni ndichiri pano bva kuseni tavhota rinenge 4 hours saka mapepa apera asvika na 4 o'clock mapepa panapa saka zvezvino zvanzi apera takamira vanhu vese ndakutera kiu yakazara hatiendi ndozvati tatovinga we waited for 5 years so we are patient enough. We are patient enough.
What's the excuse they are giving?
Ballot paper apera na cancela. Uya kaiswa muhembe mpezo. Ballot papers. Imagine ballot paper pana muhembe munhu. Apera. And I just see you chinopera usinooneka. Ukuvhotesa vanhu kuona kuti mapepa ari kupera. Paper repera. Kusvika zvipi iwo ndo vachashangu yekuriga uchatochena tiri pano mangwana. Yes, because they've been using this night to rig. Vachashangu yekuriga ndiwo tiri pano hatipfe takutoshanda manje sema-polling agents pano. Yes, we are here to protect our vote.
Thank you. Alright, isusu tiri pa-Head Park Primary School paMebborain. Tichiri takamirira kuvhota mapepasi apera angambouya saka tabva panapoona 6 makuseni hatina chatadya takwara nenzara pakaipa but hatomira zvinhu kusvika chero na 10 na 12 pangouya chi mapepasi ipapo tovhota takatomirirawo kuvhota. Problem atiudza vangotiudza kuti mapepasi apera ndo zvataudzwa hatizive hedu kana pane imwe problem. Hacharamba tiri pano svika tavhota takatomirira.
In a sad incident, a voter died while waiting for the ballot papers, which are still to be delivered in some polling stations, which include Mebborain's Hague Park and Warren Park. Family and neighbors could not hide the shock following the untimely death of a voter who could have voted had Zekaveld ballot papers on time. The voter had been at the polling station as early as 4 p.m. August 23, Wednesday.
Okay, Baba, mati chaitika.
Tanga tichese kuma past 4 makuseni takamirira pakiu pachikora. Past 4? Past 4 makuseni. AM. Because you ndo vaita number 3 kubva pandiri. Pazovhurwa, time yazovhurwa kuma 7 ndo patazoparadzana manje vamwe vakunzi endai uku vamwe vakunzi endai. Alphabetically. Saka time iyoyo tazozonge takuzongonzwawo vanhu vakunzi mudhara adona mudhara mushowa. Saka kuuya kwatata kunotatira kuti uzokonfirma kuona kuti ndezveshuwa because munhu watanga achitaura naye.
Saka sara ndo MC3.
Tanga tirimo but anga dada side mablock.
Vanga kublock. What time was it roughly pa adona mudhara? Past 8 to 9.
Saka zviri kunzi chii chakonzeresa kuti vadoni?
Izvo zvatinganyeti hatina chatatanga.
Vangaone makore mangai? Saka manga muri mese makadai muri vatatu polling station?
Patime atasvika makuseni tanga takaita zvatakaita izvi.
Okay. Alright. Mazobudirira kuvhota here?
Aiwa, tavhota.
Alright. Mazovhota kumangwai? Alright. Saka muri kuti chii nechitiko chaitika? zvemumwe wenyu azodonha ari mukumirira kufota
there for 2 months ago pane mumwe akazvita futi kuseni same line
muno murodi pane chikakamirapo
angomuka akarovhura gedhi akabvadzoka aita hamene zvandikunywa ndibvadzokera mbausogarwa sofa nokwenesiwa
vanga vari panext nawa
asi maererano nekuvhota kwamaita muri kusununguka here nekuvhota kwamaita
nyaya
yekugariswa chete but otherwise
zvaanda control zvinosvika kwanzi hapana zvinhu in time yazomirwa zvinhu zuva rese ibva kusenda 7 kwauzovhota 3
ZEC officials also spoke on the challenges which have the potential to throw the polls into disrepute and have already given the opposition leverage ahead of what could be a disputed poll result.
Vincent Swanda, Bulilima Constituency Elections Officer, Slama 1, 19, and Islama polling stations, 76, and Yama stations at Wonke, Namta 7 o'clock. There are challenges of saying. Uzofika tesa sikathole ama-reports amanye konke bekuhamba smooth except nje ukuthi kule challenge ukuthi kulezi imoto ezingu-2 ezisuke kuthiwa zibuye lama-breakdown ezizama ukutransport abantu besiyavotela kwezinye indawo. Hhayi ngaphandle kwalokho ambona nganakulo okunye kukhona okade sesimelele nje ukuthi ama-stations ethu avale kuhle then sebeqalisa ukubala ama-votes.
Triple C leader Nelson Chamisa was unhappy over the chaos and immediately addressed a press conference telling supporters, observers, and the international community he was not going to allow the poll to be rigged. Chamisa said President Emmerson Mnangagwa had thrown the electoral process into disrepute.
And ZEC is not alone. It is handlers. And it is those handlers who are afraid of the imminent verdict of the people. That verdict is being contaminated, adulterated, because the people have spoken. Across the country, people are clear that they want change, and the supporters. I mean, you can see that ZANU-PF are very desperate, they are rattled. They did not start today. They did it with the issue of the nomination. They did it even before the nomination, the gerrymandering in terms of the boundaries. They did it even with double candidates, connivance to impose double candidates on the Triple C. What they tried to do in Bulawayo when they intended to withdraw and remove our 12 members of parliament. And now what you are seeing is an escalation of those antics and tactics. Tactics of desperation, tactics that are deliberate, that are shameless, and tactics that are done by people who are in trouble. They have no mandate to govern this country. So they've plunged this country into a crisis. Starting from tomorrow, there's no government in Zimbabwe. Mr. Mnangagwa can claim, but he's not the president of this country, legally and constitutionally. So the country is being driven into a crisis, a constitutional crisis, a political crisis, and an electoral crisis. But we've said, and I must thank the citizens for soldiering on. They are still in the queues. And we are encouraging all the citizens, wherever you are, if you have not cast your vote, make sure you cast your vote. Your vote must count. They don't want your vote to count. They want to discount your vote, particularly in Harare, in Bulawayo, and in Manicaland. But there's a formula to the madness. Mr. Mnangagwa and ZANU-PF, they know that they have no support in these provinces. And that's why they victimized the provinces, targeted them. But by doing so, they are also nullifying the effect of a credible election.
Government has so far remained mum on the case. So has the ruling ZANU-PF. But President Mnangagwa's spokesperson, using his micro-blogging account, Tino Edzajimwe, rose to the defense of ZEC, saying it had been affected by open court, senseless litigation, close court. It remains to be seen how these hiccups will affect the credibility of the polls and to what extent the image of Zimbabwe will take a knock on the international stage. We keep following the story here on HSTV News and Current Affairs. This report has been compiled by journalists from across the AMH stable who have been following the story in all the parts across the country. Blessed Mhlanga for HSTV News and Current Affairs.